Okay, all right, all right. Great, great, beautiful, beautiful. So, yes, family. Hello, hello, good day for another discussion. All right, this discussion today is on Black men's health or the health of Black men, the Black community. I have my special guest, Professor David Kelly, with me again. This is a series that we're doing, talking about different aspects. The first video, if you're not familiar with my platform, we had talked about in the first video about achievement with Black male, Black female youth, and or just people in general, like how to go about that, skills that you may have, skills that you can acquire to help yourself and your family to progress in society. Then the second video we did was in reference of family, the importance of family. What is a nuclear family? The nuclear family structure. What does that mean to us in our Black and brown communities? How does that translate as far as dating and relationships and your relationship, more importantly, with yourself? And now this conversation today will be about health, right? Health in many different ways: physical health, mental health, spiritual health. And I brought Professor Kelly back on for us to talk about these things. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. You know what? Years ago, I had a unique opportunity to run a male reproductive health program. Had been over 20 years ago, but I ran a male reproductive health program. They dealt primarily with some of the issues that you're concerned about, or some of the things that affect male health. But when we was looking at research, we was looking at the tail end of the health aspects, like high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, things like that, right?
Right.
Cancer and STD and HIV, things like that as well. But all of that comes from some other place. Where it came from was that it was an environment that they was living in that predisposed them to those circumstances, thus allowing them to come down with these issues. For example, who taught them to eat this type of food that was high in salt? Who did not talk to you about the importance of cholesterol, and your body makes cholesterol as opposed to you have to consume cholesterol? Same thing goes with unprotected relationships. Why did anyone give you any ins and outs about prophylactic devices to prevent HIV, STDs, or anything like that? Or you given any of those things? And most of those answers, before they even get to the point of their current circumstances, it was no, 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 no. I did not know that eating fried chicken was bad for them. I didn't know that chasing a lot of women can pre-expose me to other things like what they call that. I think it was the not pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer. The association of prostate cancer and having multiple women, things of that. They didn't know a lot of these things. So as a result of it, a lot of these men, the problem started years before that. That's to get to the kids. A lot of people talk about working with the younger people. They're right. Because if you can get the young people to think differently about their self and their future, it can change a lot in the future. It can really change a lot in their future.
Definitely, and we go. That ties into what we were talking about in the previous discussion about sex and relationships and being mindful of like where you are and who you are as a person and the role that community plays in your development. And when we talk about, especially men with, typically men, Black men, we talk about in general, like typically have a high sex drive. So we feel like, we got to have sex all the time, or if we're not having sex, we're thinking about it, we're doing something in reference of it, but we don't realize that wears out our body too. It's like, hey, if I'm having sexual relations all the time, then what work am I getting done? And it's depleting the body at the same time, like you said, prostate cancer.
Well, people have sex for many reasons. The end result is the same, but there's many reasons as to why people have sexual relationships. If a man is out there womanizing, going after all of these women, it's okay to have that thought in your mind, but at some point you got to put that practice to rest. After you get a certain age and you start looking at risk factors. But a person who's, constantly gravitating towards that activity may have some unmet needs in their life. And those social needs that they have that may be unmet can translate into multiple women, multiple kids. It can translate into wear and tear, STD, HIV. It can translate into, rape cases or potential rape cases, because what is considered enough? So these are your potential rapists or something like that. But they may have been abused themselves. and they
Right.
play out in different ways. So when you're looking at sexual activity among men in general, if you focus on primarily on men have various reasons as to why. Some men, be comfortable after one wife or one girlfriend, and we just call it the rest because we realize that that's a boatload to deal with. Just dealing with her, if you focus on her, it's a lot to deal with.
Hmm.
But if you're talking about, let's say, 9 or 10 different women, and you're trying to float them all around, at some point it's going to have to cause an end to whatever it is you're doing.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
tough situation.
It is. It is. And could you talk about, let's go back to the basics too, because I know you and I have talked about this before, just with like our eating, drinking habits, and diet. Because we
Mm-hmm.
know that, when we talk about physicality, typically people go to food and diet. Could you
Mm-hmm.
even just break down the difference between minerals and vitamins? Because I remember you and I were talking about that and like how that
Yeah.
translates into certain foods we choose to eat or that are promoted for us.
Yeah, but the idea is that most of us eat foods based on our desire, but we don't give it any real thought because guess what? We was never introduced to the thought process associated with diet. You eat something that you're hungry or craving for. That's what it was all about. And when we
Right.
was kids, we was just given substance, and that substance satisfied us, and we learned how to cook that substance ourselves. And eventually, we
Mhm.
pass that substance ingredient on to our kids. So we have generations of bad habits going back and forth. But no one ever pulled you to the side and said, "Listen, dude, your diet starts with the periodic table."
Mhm.
That's kind of profound. That could stop a person in their steps. And you say, "Hold up," and then the first man asks you, "What is a periodic table?"
Right.
So what is a periodic table? But your
Yeah.
diet basically starts with a periodic table. So once you start to have a periodic table, you understand the importance of, the minerals. We call them elements on the chart, but they're actually considered minerals. And the
Mhm.
balanced minerals are usually found in things like fruits and vegetables, and they come in compact amounts, which means that one will sustain you as opposed to many. Which I tell my students, I say, like I said before, I can give you a plate full of buffalo wings,
Mhm.
I'll have you like it, right? Cool. Or I can
Right.
give you
Lemon
a
pepper.
plate of apples.
Right.
So if they eat the buffalo wings, there's like a bottomless stomach there. They're going to keep eating until
Mhm.
there's no more. Then they're going to start drinking, and then once the salt and water level balances out, they back to hunger again. They're going to continue to eat. But if you
Mm.
look at it from the fruit perspective, how many apples are you going to eat? You're only going to take like 4 or 5 apples, right?
Right.
But of those 4 or 5 apples, you may only eat 1 or 2 of them. The reason why is it because the mineral level there is balanced. The elements you find on the periodic table are in those, fruits. So in
Right.
essence, when you consume that fruit, it satisfies the needs of the organs. It satisfies the needs of the entire body. So in essence, your body is not craving anything, and it's not fighting anything. Because usually when you crave something, it's a call out for mineral depletion or water
Mm.
depletion or something that's in the body. So your body craves it out, and then you start to eat. Whatever you eat is usually something of poor choice, especially if it's cooked.
Mhm.
If it's cooked, definitely is not going to have the minerals and vitamins you need. Or if what tends to happen is whenever you cook it, you tend to concentrate the wrong things. For example, if I
Okay.
have an apple, yeah, if I have an apple, right? If I
Right.
eat the apple in its natural state, it's cool. It's not going to cause any problems. But if I take this apples and I fry it and make apple fritters, it's going to be extremely sweet. And then
Very.
now I just concentrated the ingredients, thus making it dangerous because now I can actually pollute myself by eating the highly concentrated foods. And most foods are highly concentrated once you cook them. And when you cook them, that's what makes them dangerous. The high concentration of whatever it is that may be in there in large numbers that makes it dangerous for you to consume. So cooked
Interesting.
food, yeah. So cooked food, in essence, is technically dangerous, and we knew this. Nutritionists knew this.
Hmm.
People who deal in some kind of what they call it, diet, whatever it is. What they know these things, but they choose to go on the other side because you got to remember, the average person are not comfortable with the idea of just eating fruits and vegetables. We have been
Right.
conditioned
That's
to
true.
eat rice, potatoes,
Yeah.
beans, meat,
Yeah.
whatever. We are conditioned for that. And if you
Yes, we
go
are.
to, you go to like restaurants or something like that, the whole restaurant is built on freezer and throwing out. They freeze
Mm.
the food and they throw it out and they serve it to you. So it's not necessarily healthy food in a restaurant. Don't
Mhm.
The healthiest food you're going to get is maybe the one you prepare from a farm. And it's usually something
Alrighty.
that doesn't require preparing. 'Cause how much preparing it needs is for you to open an apple, I mean, eat an apple, excuse me, or to unpeel a banana or something like that, or to cut
Hmm.
up a watermelon. That doesn't take a lot of preparation. All you're
It
doing
does.
is cutting it up and eating it.
Cutting it up.
You know what I'm saying?
Picking it if you grow
But
it, picking it when it's right, or
yeah, and it
right.
provides you with all of the daily nutrition. And you have to ask yourself now, yeah, it's healthy, but how does this play out with my internist, my doctor? How does it play out with my cardiologist or somebody like that? Because I may have pre-existing issues or existing issues. I may have heart problems, liver problems,
Right.
circulatory problems, whatever it may be. So as a result of it, how does it play? How does this new diet play out with my health care? Because you got to remember, we can say anything we want to say about what is healthy, what's not healthy. But what it does it plays out in the doctor's office. Does the doctor
Mm.
see the delete? I mean,
That the
the
results are being.
yeah, they see the drop in whatever high blood pressure, or they
Mhm.
see any drop in cholesterol. That's what you want to see. So when you go
Right.
in your doctor's office, you say, "Yeah, I've been using this diet. It has been vet for me. Has been vetting out some kind of results, and I
Mhm.
need to make sure when I get blood tested or whatever have you, those numbers are correct."
Right.
And that's usually what happens, especially when you have someone who's researched and have a good background in nutrition and understand how biochemistry works and understand that certain organs are going to need certain minerals, certain side effects come from the lack of or too much of a particular minerals, and that's
Mhm.
all periodic table. We can figure that out, but most of us was never taught to figure that out.
That's true. Very
So
true.
it is what it is, and we suffer from it.
Yeah.
The thing
Wow.
you talked about, like we know
Yeah.
magnesium is association with bowel movement, but usually
Mhm.
you get magnesium from you usually get it from like it's from the earth. It's actually just in the soil, right? So
Right.
usually things that grow in soil has high levels of magnesium in it. So you eat the fruits that has the magnesium, and that would make you go to the restroom along with drinking water. You know,
Mhm. And
you
that's
don't have
I know magnesium is like what, like dates. I think they said dark chocolate has it in it, in small amounts.
no, but you can get it in raw form. You don't
Well,
have to get it in dry. Because you got to remember, drying or preparing foods is the worst thing you can ever do. You have
drying and pairing foods.
Yeah, you dry foods, or you can them, or you do
Mhm.
anything that takes them away from their natural state is going to concentrate whatever it is that's in there that could be potentially dangerous to you. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you talked about that just a minute ago. So what is it? Because again, people are like, well, it's fruit, and fruit is fruit. So whether I cook it, whether I eat it raw, what's the difference? Like the concentration.
Yeah,
Does
exactly.
it stress the body? Like what I'm trying to
It
like.
all depends on the individual. Let's say, for example, I'm suffering from diabetes, right? Let's say I have diabetes, and an apple in its natural form is fine. I eat an apple or half an apple, I'm good, right?
Mhm.
But if I take that same apple and I fry it and make fritters out of it, you know what
Right.
apple
They're very
fritters are?
tasty. Yeah, they're very
Yeah,
tasty.
apple fritters is much sweeter than a regular apple, right?
Very, very sweet.
And you didn't even add any sugar to it, right?
True.
You just cooked it, and all the sugar kind of like melds out of it, and it did what
Yeah.
it did, and then you eat it before you actually prepare it. You're like, yo, let me eat it now while I'm cooking it.
Right.
And that's what concentration means. So that sugar level is going to be much higher if I cook it as opposed to eating it raw. And that's what and then the burn tends to be quicker too. So when you concentrate food, I mean, you concentrate ingredients within food, what happens is that the body processes it much quicker,
Mhm.
and it causes more damage. As opposed to something that is in natural form, the body's going to take its time processing it. It's going to break it down slowly. All the minerals are going to go to its right place, and it's not. And 9 times out of 10, if you don't have allergic reactions to it, it's going to serve you well. It's going to provide the nutrients, the water, the minerals that your body needs, amino acids, whatever it may be, and do what your body needs to do. Because in essence, most of the fruits and vegetables that we consume usually have levels of amino acids in it, which is the building blocks of protein.
Okay. I was gonna get into that.
Human
Yeah, because
beings
with
need
the protein.
human beings need more amino acids than we need proteins. And
Hmm.
amino acids are It's like for example, if I need a brick, I need bricks more so than I need a wall, right? I'm not going to
Right.
go to the store and buy a wall. I want to go to the store and buy the bricks. Because
Right.
the bricks would allow me to design it the way I need to design it, right?
Right.
Amino acids are the bricks. They are the bricks that are used to design specific type of protein that your body may need for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason it needs. So if getting it in this raw form, like an apple, I usually use an apple as an example,
Okay.
it would allow it to be able to make the protein that your body needs. Not to say that you can't do it the other way around, but you got to remember when you get prepared protein, it's going to be broken down into amino acids and then built back up into proteins again. But
Okay.
in this instance, you're just having amino acids. It's going to be prepared into protein, and that's it. Less wear and tear on the system.
Okay.
That's where the process comes in. And most people don't look at it from that perspective, but that is the perspective that we need to look at it from. Because, yeah, a lot of people, I want to lose weight because I'm looking a little too big. So I'm going to get me some salad and some chicken, or salad and some steak. I'm not going to stay away from the carbs.
Right.
And it may work, but the reason why they're losing weight is because their body is working overtime to break down the protein and working overtime to build up the protein, as well as taking away any existing carbohydrates that may be stored in fat in their body.
Hmm.
The fat that is the sugar, the fat that's on their body, which is really it's going to be broken down into sugar,
Yeah.
going to be used because they're not eating any. So their body going to need some. So where they're going to get it from? They're going to get it from the fat. So that person is going to look like they slimmed out. They slimmed out considerably.
Okay, so let me interject this. Is this part of why? Because one thing I'm starting to see is America's becoming overly obese, as they say, obese and overweight. So when you look at other countries, they seem to be thinner. But in America, thin is healthy, or it's supposed to look like you're healthy, or that's like it's just for looks. It's not for optimal health. It's just for a look. So but is that one of the main reasons why in America we tend to be bigger than other countries because of that fat the sugar, carb concentration in our bodies? Is that what, like you're saying, in that effect?
America tends to be heavier because we tend to have automobiles and we're gluttonous. Automobiles and gluttony is usually the reason why we tend to be bigger. Why? Because in essence, in those countries, they may walk, they may do more bike riding.
Right. Definitely bike riding. A lot of that.
More bike riding, they do more walking. So it requires them to move about, and they out their homes at least 16 hours a day. In America, we in our home 16 hours a day. If given the opportunity, we're either in our home or in our work, sitting down somewhere doing nothing other than building calories. And then we eat at a clip that looks like dinner. The average calories a person will consume for lunch could be north of 2,000 calories.
Wow. Yeah, wow.
And for breakfast, it could be almost the same thing if they had enough time to consume breakfast. Most people don't have enough time to eat the way they want to, but if they did, they would consume north of 2,000 calories for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the idea is that we also going to take a car or a train or a bus home, thus allowing us to not further burn calories. And then the worst thing you do, so I'll go to the gym once a week. What does that mean? How do you go to the gym once a week? Gym's supposed to be a part of your lifestyle, like work. If you work, you go to the gym. If you eat, you work out, and it's supposed to be at least 5 to 6 days a week. It can be low intensive, but it's something.
Right.
It can be walking up steps. It can be jogging. It could be lifting weights for a couple of minutes. You know what I'm saying? But it can be something. But we don't do that, and the reason why we gain weight is because we're a gluttonous country that tends to be automated. Everything we do is automated. The first thing we did is create these electric bikes.
Oh yeah, they're flying around. Yeah.
I got how often do you pedal? She works in Westchester. She lives in Westchester and she works there. But she takes an electric bike because there's not a lot of public transportation in Westchester. So what she tends to do is she takes a bike. The bike is like maybe 3 to 4 miles. She take it. I said, how often do you pedal? Never. I just pedal just to get it started. But once it starts, I'm doing my thing.
Yeah.
It goes by itself. You got a throttle on it,
Right. Wow.
So her throttle, she just moves the throttle and she just in and out of traffic.
Yeah.
And her attitude is she's saving money. But I'm talking about, listen, you're just as heavy as it was before you had the bike. Bike is not making you lose any weight.
Yeah.
So that's why we the way we are. But choices we make in life, you know.
Indeed, indeed. And in talking about like with black men, like you just mentioned it too. I want to talk about like the whole eating 3 times a day, right? Because America, American diet, standard American diet says we should eat 3 meals a day. And I know you and I were talking about that and said that's not good for us. Typically, again, this is all our opinion, but typically for black men, that's typically not a good thing to be in the habit of.
Yeah, the problem, we spend more time eating than we spend working out. That's usually the problem. So if you say you spend on any given day, you eat X amount of food, it took you about approximately, let's say, 2.5 hours of eating every meal you ate in one day. So you ate lunch, dinner, and breakfast, whatever have you. That comes in from 2.5, 3 hours you spent eating, between eating and socializing. Because the worst thing to do is to be on your phone and eating. Because what happened is people tend to eat more when they're on their phone or when they're on some kind of electric devices, So you're spending that. How much time are you spending in the gym? 2-3 hours in the gym? You see? So most people don't make the correlation between how much time I'm spending eating versus how much time I'm working out per day. And then if you figure that out, you realize that you don't necessarily need to eat 3 meals a day. All you need to do is eat 1 meal a day. And what you do is you have what we call substance throughout the course of the day. Like, for example, you may want to start your day off with, let's say, I have a problem with caffeine, so I use dandelion tea, So I drink dandelion, and that'll get me going until maybe 12 noon. And then at 12 noon, between 12 noon and 2 o'clock, I will start to consume my largest meal for the day. And then from between 12 noon after 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, between 12 noon and 2, I'll be on a downturn, which means you're now looking at just fruits and fruit juices. Fruits and fruit juices all throughout the course of the night, and that'll be it. But the reason why I'm doing it is because I'm a little older now and I work out consistently. So I go to the gym and I maintain, because I know as I get to a certain point, I won't be able to be physically active. So I'm trying to be as active as possible. So when I hit my 70s and 80s years of age, then I can be on a good downturn as opposed to a bad downturn, because we have these downturns as we get older.
Explain that, please.
Yeah, a downturn is basically, let's say, for example, you have a guy who was an Olympic athlete, right? He was a muscular dude, right? So the muscular dudes are always going to be on a higher end of things because muscle always means healthy immunity. So the more muscles, the more immunity. That's tends to how it works. So you want to be on a higher end. So if you can go to the gym, while you're in your 20s and 30s, you build up real natural muscle, not no steroid muscles.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You lift, you do all of that stuff. So it's going to put you at a higher trajectory. But the guy who did not, he was naturally slim. He was naturally slim all his life. He never put on any bulk at no point. He may have not had the DNA for bulk, but he did not put on any bulk at any point, right? He's going to be on the lower end. So when he gets like in his 70s or 80s, his immune system may be compromised because he have a lower bulk, lower muscle tone. And that's effective at some way, shape, or form. So that's usually how it works. So those who have muscle tone and they was physically active early in their life, they tend to, like a good, you don't know Jack LaLanne, but he might be before your time.
I know Jack LaLanne because I remember those like infomercials late at night. Jack LaLanne.
Yeah, but Jack LaLanne was the man back in the day. Back in the 50s, he was the man. But
he was juicing then, not juicing, steroid juicing, but he was like fruit juicing and vegetable juicing then. Right?
But you can see as he aged, and he aged well. He was on the high end of that trajectory, which led us to believe that muscles are key to health and rejuvenation. So if you have muscles, you keep it as work out as long as you could possibly can as you get older in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, because you're going to be on a downturn. And that's what people usually go between their 60th and 80th birthday. They take the steep downturn. And physical structure, be it bone density, muscle tone, body fat, that tends to drop considerably. And that's usually where it falls. And then you got the other side of people who choose not to work out. Those guys who tend to be your runners or something like that, who be lean muscle, they tend to live longer, but they tend not to have the quality of life that the guy who had the muscles. Like your Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be on that line,
Okay, yeah, because I was thinking about that, like we talk about Kenyan runners or long distance runners or even like certain sprinters who have that lean muscle mass. It's like,
Yeah.
what about them?
Yeah, but it's barring all things like cancer, heart disease, and things like that. But you have to remember, certain things can be avoided, like heart disease.
Hmm.
It's not genetic in itself. It's
I
strictly
want to ask you about that. Yeah,
It's
definitely,
not
definitely.
genetic, but it's strictly environmental. You can technically avoid that by doing certain things that prevent you from getting heart disease.
Hmm.
Hypertension, cholesterol issues, potentials for stroke, or anything like that. All of those things can actually prevent. You can slow that down by changing your lifestyle. And like I
Hmm.
tell most of my students, more is less. The
Mm.
less you do, the better it is. It's like Dr. Sebi's sons talks about eating is the necessary evil that one must commit.
Hmm.
It's necessary evil because every time you put something in your mouth or you drink something, it's an evil that is being inflicted upon the body, and it can be going in either direction. And you don't know this can be the one, or this thing can cause this problem. But
Mm.
so conscious tells us that if I'm going to consume something, I must consume something that I know that's going to play well with my bio. And
Hmm.
most of us are never taught on that level. And playing on that level, which means it strictly comes down to fruits and vegetables, uncooked vegetables,
Hmm.
uncooked vegetables, seeds, and nuts. That's it. And then don't cook them, because if you cook them, you concentrate the problem, and then that becomes a problem in itself. You know,
Wow.
it's a different way of thinking. It's a
It
totally
is.
different way of thinking. And a lot of us, the first thing we do is go home and we cook food that normally human beings can't consume, like potatoes and beans.
Mm.
Human beings can't normally. You eat a raw potato, see what happened to you. Eat raw beans and see what happened to you.
Oh man.
You know
Oh
what I'm
dude.
saying?
Oh, brother.
Exactly.
That.
And therefore, but you have to remember, the raw potato and the raw beans have certain nutrients that cow can eat that'll help them out.
Hmm.
That cow can, do well on the raw beans and the raw beans and potatoes and corn and things like that.
Yeah.
We can't do that, you know. But such is
Yeah.
life.
Raw potato, man. A raw potato and raw beans, man. Your stomach be all jacked up. Like it'll be.
Exactly, because it has those things, the ingredients that are in the raw potatoes will not fare well with human consumption. So what we do is we cook it out. We neutralize the molecule that causes us to get sick.
Hmm.
Thus, that molecule is no longer in large concentration anymore. Especially if you cook it in an environment where the water is going to be either sapped out of it or evaporated or made a part of a stew or something like that. Like you
Like
make
potato chips saying,
yeah,
like when I'm
potato soup or something where you sap because the heat gotta neutralize the molecule that makes you sick, that will make you potentially sick. And
mm,
that's usually it. And it goes for everything. It goes same thing for animal consumption is the worst thing a person to me, I think animal consumption is the worst thing a person could be ever be caught with.
wow.
Because not only is it addictive,
Hmm.
it also it has no benefit to the body.
Okay.
Zero.
I remember you mentioning something like that. You definitely got to talk about that because I remember you saying if you're looking at it from a mathematical science standpoint,
Mhm.
consuming animal protein does more wear and tear on the body than what we actually get from it.
It's a zero-sum game.
Okay, break that
Essence,
down,
it's
man.
like, for example, if you eat a steak, all you're going to get out of that is being dehydrated. What was
Hmm.
the benefit that it gave you? Oh, it's high in iron. It's high in whatever it may have in it. Because I'm suffering from some kind of anemia, so they
Yeah.
say eat red meat, and it's going to make me healthy. But you can get iron from anything. Iron is not necessarily the best source of iron is not necessarily in a steak. It could be from anything other than it could be from a fruit or vegetable has iron in it as well. Most of
Yeah.
your red items have iron in it.
Hmm.
An apple have iron in it. You know what I'm saying? Eat an apple.
Yeah.
How much iron do you need? Do you let yourself go that bad where your iron production is not where it needs to be? Because you got to remember, biochemistry is about elements. In order for you to have, let's say, a benzene ring, the benzene that has an effect on human beings, right? It
Okay.
makes
Benzene.
benzene. It's a shape of a molecule,
Okay.
usually like a six-sided shape chemical. I mean molecule, and it usually consists of carbon. So in essence, your body needs carbon. It don't need the benzene itself. It needs carbon itself. So where do you get carbon from? Carbon is in everything we do. It's in everything we eat has carbon in it. I mean, from peppers to I don't know about real onions, but onions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything you eat,
Kale.
yeah, it's there. It's there. It's there.
Yeah.
But the key is you don't necessarily have to go through the so great extent of consuming animals because you have to remember, animals that eat animals' lives are very short. The appreciation. If you're a cat or a dog and you eat other animals, your life is going to be short. Look at some of these people that got these little rat dogs in their house. They dogs don't last too long. See if a dog's like 15 years, 16 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what is that life expectancy of a giraffe? You know, a rhinoceros, the tortoises, which is our favorite.
Yeah, elephants.
Tortoises can go up to 100 and something years, 175, 180 years, you know?
Yeah.
No, so we know this in science, but why do we propagate something that is actually hurting us? You know, you eat something, you feel bad after eating. I mean, that really throws me. I love Thanksgiving. I love the whole concept of Thanksgiving. You get to see family and you get to do all these great things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But how do you feel after you eat? Like it's almost punishment.
Yeah, you feel sleepy, tired, like you almost feel sick. Almost if you eat too much, you almost feel like really like sick, like nausea.
If you eat it, you're gonna get sick. Period.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you eat too much. If you eat it, you're gonna get sick. We love sweet potato pie. We southern. We come from a southern background. You know how we do.
Yes, indeed.
So, we eat sweet potato pie, and we also eat cakes and we eat yams. I mean, hold up. We eating yams 2 times. We eating
right. That's what I figured out once I started getting into health. I was like, we eat it 2 times. We eat it with the meal, it's sweet, and then we got the pie. I'm like, which one? I can't do it anymore. I can't do the yams with my food anymore because that whole sweet dynamic with the greens and the dressing, and when I used to eat turkey, I can't. It's too. I can't do it anymore. I used to.
No, I can't. You know, I love my food. Don't get me wrong. We was born. I mean, if it wasn't for our ancestors, we wouldn't have been here because they put us on that stuff. So it did get us far.
Right. It got us up to the point.
I mean, I can't do it no more. All my life, I've been eating that food, and it have not blessed me in any way, shape, or form. Not. What it did is it diminished our lives. Diminish our life. We know that we supposed to eat collard greens, but how we cook collard greens? The last time I cooked it, it took me no more than 10 minutes to do. I mean, I sauteed it. Pop. It took me 5 minutes to saute it, lock it in. It didn't have any.
Wow.
As we say, pot water. You know, pot water.
Yeah, pot water. Yeah.
It didn't have any pot water coming out of it. You know what I'm saying? It just sauteed it, and I ate it, and I felt good. But we don't cook it that way. You know how we cook it. We take 2 hours to cook greens. Same thing with cabbage. You can go to church and come back and have your greens still cooking. That's how long we cook greens for.
That's true.
Okay? So the idea is that it doesn't bode well with us. In essence, all of the nutrients has been gone. And you know, cooking food is dangerous. It's the dangerous thing you can ever do. The best thing to do is to fruit and vegetable it, and you'll be healthy. Exercise, fruit and vegetable, and copious amounts of water if you can. Healthy water. You know, that helps us stay where we. You know, we also have the social aspects around it as well. The social aspects around it is that listen, if you go out, you know, you have a girlfriend or a husband or something like that, they don't know how to cook, and all they know how to cook is cook food. So you may have to reteach them about the very thing that they don't know or they took for granted. Like, listen, dude, you're going to have apples for dinner. What? Yeah, we're going to have apples to dinner. We're going to have an apple salad.
It's a hard concept.
Maybe you can put a little bit of sunflower seeds on it. You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to have some tea. And that's it. You're like, what? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you do that a couple of months, you'll see what happens. You know, you live with everything. You know,
do a couple of months, you might not have a relationship.
Well, it all depends on you. Have to find a willing partner. You just can't, you know, You can't have someone with you who's going to be sitting there eating ham while you trying to be healthy. Because if you're trying to get through your process, you trying to, change the quality of your life, you can't have this dude sitting here eating a ham sandwich. French fries and ham sandwiches, drinking soda, drinking beer, drinking alcohol. Come on. He's bad for business, dude. And he may be a great person.
Right.
But he's bad for business. You can't have that because while you're in the beginning stage of trying to get your life together, everything matters. People, human capital matters because if you don't, they can drag you back into that ground. You try to stop smoking and your partner smoking cigarettes, man, all you do is light up a cigarette and you can smell it.
Exactly. Oh yeah, cigarettes, like a lot of smoke carries throughout. You don't take.
Same thing with chicken. He fries some chicken. See how you act. You know how when people used to fry chicken back in the day?
Yes.
The house used to get crazy. Like, woo, they fried chicken.
Right. Right. Got out the door. The back with the door come in. You don't have to open the door. You just walk by the door. You know what I'm saying? Like. Woo. It's coming. It's coming.
You can almost smell the seasons. I know you got like that. I know what you got going on in there. Your chicken tastes good because I can smell it.
Right. Oh man. And see, I'm sorry. No, I was just going to ask. Just what we're talking about now. These are things that we've experienced, but no one or not many people has broken it down for us again, especially going with Black men's health. Mm-hmm. It's how do we begin to navigate through all that because we're not taught it in schools. Our families have a tradition around what we call soul food. Mm-hmm. So typically, if we dismiss that, it's like we're dismissing them, our cultural traditions. So how do we, as Black men and even Black boys, navigate that? You know what I mean? Like how do we?
When I became a vegetarian years ago, it was a problem. But what happened was I had the unique ability to live on my own for at least a year or two before I had to reintegrate to society, to my family and my mom, my sisters and brother. I didn't have a girlfriend or wife at the time. I had a girlfriend, but she was, I did have a girlfriend who was the same thing. She was a vegan as well. So it was perfect. So we was basically in school, last year college, assumed the idea of veganism or vegetarianism early on in life. And we had a good year of head start, which means you're now going to learn, you're going to read, you're going to understand why and some of the benefits to look forward to. It's not so you can lose weight. Vegetarianism is not to lose weight. If you're interested in trying to lose weight, this is the wrong program for you. What it's designed to do is to get you in concert with your body. That's what it's designed to do. Mm-hmm. To get you in concert, to be able to get the cost benefit attached to whatever it is you're doing, and that's what it's all designed. And if you got terrible DNA, like we tend to have terrible, because most Americans, Black Americans, tend to have terrible DNA, it is to make amends with that by doing no harm. And doing harm may mean a slow progression or a quick progression. Quick progression means you're dying early because of whatever it is you're doing, drugs, alcohol, whatever. A slow progression means that you're going to be able-bodied up until maybe your 60th, 70th birthday. But after your 60th, 70th birthday, you're going to be on some serious medication for the rest of your life. Hypertension, stroke medication, heart medication, you're going to be all kind of med. But that's going to take you from your 70s on. And very few of us get to that point. Why are you in your 80s and 90s and on medication? Right. That's usually the process. So this is where veganism comes in. It talks about that. It talks about balancing out minerals, balancing out the various things that you would need to keep you healthy mentally and spiritually. Mm-hmm. So it's something that comes from within. And then once you master it, it becomes a part of your life. You don't sit here. I remember one time I was at a children event, right? And my role was to help the kids. I was a Thanksgiving event for kids who are living in homeless shelters. And what my job was to help the food line is to put the food on the plate and give it to the kids, right? That was my job, right? So I was putting the food on the plate. I was like maybe 10 or 15 plates in. And the guy was like, excuse me, you didn't put any meat on any of these plates. I was like, it becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
Like, who eats meat when they eat? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to give you all of the sides and hey. And it was like, That never came. It never registered to me until the guy looked. I'm like, oh wow, I'm sorry.
Right.
You know, it'll become
Yeah.
a part of you. You don't like when you go to
Exactly.
the supermarket. You don't even see the meat aisle. I see people buying animals at like Costco's and BJ's and all these big stores. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, they're wasting all their money on nothing. But no one knows this habit is what we
It
was taught.
is.
It's addictive, like cigarettes. You know, and it's just as dangerous as any other cancer causing entity.
Mhm.
You know, but it is
Exactly.
what it is. You know, scary situation, buddy.
It is, and that's why I asked that question in reference of just foods in general, like how we are addiction and where does that addiction come from? Because you would think that doctors would know this, but I remember reading something that doctors aren't taught nutrition. They're
Yeah.
taught, how to deal with illnesses and ailments, but they're not taught nutrition. But you would think they would be, but
But a
they're not.
doctor is just as unhealthy as his candidates, his patients. The doctor is there to provide a service based on protocol and, proven practices, And anything outside of that, they may be able to go a little bit against the grain, but most likely they're going to use the medications or the treatments that they was chosen or trained to use and look for symptoms that they was trained to use. That's their role. They're not superheroes. They're not going to bring you from the grave. They're going to try to prevent you to go from the grave based on whatever it is they're doing, but they're not superheroes. So we can't look to a doctor to give us all the information we need. A doctor is there when things don't go right. Then I come to you. I come to you for that, but I can't come to you when I'm doing well and healthy. How do I maintain that? You maintain that by talking to someone who may be a nutritionist. A homeopathic doctor is great because they look at the entire body, and those who deal with prevention health is key because prevention health is all about how to maintain numbers and prevent onsets of anything from coming about. How do you do that? Is they say something like lifestyle. That's a big word.
Yeah,
Lifestyle has a lot
pretty,
of
pretty
meaning.
broad.
Yeah, right. So they said, changes the lifestyle and have to do a lot with everything. They don't even talk about your ancestral lifestyle or your social
Mm,
lifestyle, your lack of money. Your
mm.
lack of money can prevent you from doing what you really want to do. We
Yes.
know that blueberries are one of the best berries in the world. We know that
Mhm.
blueberries and blackberries, but they tend to be the most expensive in anywhere you go. But as a
Yeah.
result, the average person who can't afford these berries will wind up getting sick because guess what? They're not going to be able to afford blueberries. I'm talking about blueberries in its raw form. They're
Yeah.
gonna oh, I'm gonna get me a salad. They'll spend $10 on a salad, a chicken salad,
Hmm.
and put all these vegetables and whatever, thinking like they're doing something well when they could have bought $10 worth of blueberries and it would have served them much better.
Wow.
It's a disconnect. They
Yeah.
don't be honest with you, most people don't care because they don't like the taste. It don't satisfy them. It don't taste good. It is not satiating. It doesn't, fulfill the needs of my craving. But the
Right.
salad does,
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it is. That's the
And
disconnect.
and I want to speak on that too, Ms. Kelly, because I tend to have a sweet tooth as well, but I've definitely lowered it over the past few years. And what I found out was, and I knew this as a child, but then also it made more sense to me, and I recognized as an adult was when I would eat like an apple or banana or maybe like a melon of some sort, and then I would eat candy either before or after it. Especially if I ate the candy before it, the candy's extra sweetness would nullify the sweetness in the fruit and I wouldn't enjoy it as much. But once I ate the fruit before the candy, I was less likely to eat the candy.
Yeah. Different types of sugar too.
Definitely. What
You
you just
gotta,
talked about earlier with the whole kind of it's exacerbated. It's like the
yeah.
sugar on a like a high. Again, like you say, it's a high. It's
You got glucose, which is usually if you got processed sugar, it's going to be like a reducing sugar. It's going to be highly concentrated.
mm-hmm.
So you get like a high fructose corn syrup or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's like concentrated sugar. So that's going to be extra extra sweet. And then you get naturally occurring sugars like you would find in like an apple or orange or watermelon. It's going to be sweet, but it's not going to be as sweet as that.
Right,
It is
definitely.
not concentrated, and that's
Mhm.
what I mean by foods that tends to be concentrated tends to be much more dangerous than foods that are less concentrated. It's like anything else. One drop of this poison is not going to hurt you, but if I put 10 drops of the poison in the same glass, this going to take you out.
Yeah.
So it's heavily concentrated, and that's what food is like. It's the same thing. So you cook it, you will concentrate it, and you would actually have problems later on. And usually the problems among those who are older. Why? Because older people can no longer withstand the beating that their body was taking in the last
all those years.
Yeah. So
Wow.
a 12-year-old can eat a bacon, egg, and cheese on the road, and
exactly,
and do all this other stuff. Even smoke a blunt.
right?
Do all of that stuff, right? And then you do that to a 70-year-old. Oh man, a 7-year-old can't get beyond 1 spoon of macaroni and cheese before. All right, I need it. I'm chill. All right. Because their body is just take a beating. It's the wear and tear on a minute level that is destroying the human being. It happens. It actually starts with the food being hot. The radiation that comes off of hot food in itself is a real reason. And most people don't understand the role of radiation and how radiation works.
Yes.
Radiation hits at the heart of the nucleus. It actually affects the DNA. It could affect your DNA in some way, shape, form. We don't know that, but we know radiation is dangerous. It causes this thing called free radicals. Free radicals are present in any way. Anytime you heat something up, you're going to cause free radicals. And even if it's not heat up, naturally free radicals will happen. Let's say you have an apple again. It sits there, right?
Right.
The apple sit there and it goes fellow on a tree. Eventually, it's going to start forming free radicals. It's going to start flying out. It's going to start rotting. It's going to go rot, and then that's when you see oxidation takes place.
Yes.
So it's a natural phenomenon that happens. But the key is less likely to happen with fresh fruits, but it is more likely to happen with processed heated. And free radicals are key to aging, and wear and tear on the body, and cancer, and all the kind of things that goes wrong with us.
Wow.
Free radicals, yeah. And we talk about free radicals. Free radicals.
Yeah. You hear it here and there, but not the breakdown like you again. You're giving us.
We talk about free radicals when we're trying to sell you something like a blueberry drink. And
right.
antioxidant that is designed to take care of free radicals, but you never explain free radicals. Free radicals are very dangerous substances. They're like electrons. They're very dangerous. Once they unhouse themselves and they start flying around, they can cause some serious damage. Young people have the wherewithal to maintain it.
Yeah, maintain withstand.
As opposed to older people. I mean, one thing. You ever see an older person with gout?
I've heard of gout, but I've never seen gout with my own eyes.
I mean, one meal can put them down. One meal can make their gout expand to nothing. When they can't even walk for a couple of days, like, oh, all they had was pig feet. Let me stop.
Right, but what is gout for for the listeners? I know what it is, but what is gout?
Basically, too much protein in the body. They got way too much protein in the body. It's caused these like needle-like infections, like in the nerve endings of.
It's like acid, right? Like a buildup of like a lot of acid.
No, it's just like protein in there, and their body is not able to process it. So it causes this problems in the nerve endings, in the foot, in the hands, and they have problems with gout. Like you can look it up.
Yeah, G-O-U-T. Yeah.
Yeah.
G-O-U-T.
And I'm pretty sure the listeners are going to look it up. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, definitely look it up.
Because I always, most of the things that I say, I wish I was wrong. You ever say something, be like, I wish I was wrong because me being wrong means that the reality does not exist. And that happens when you start to really realize the levity of what you're sharing with other individuals. You hope that you're wrong, but 9 times out of 10, you're right. And being right means that there's more people who are going to suffer from the BS that we deal with because it becomes a part of the human condition.
Yeah.
For example, you will smoke a blunt. These kids smoke blunts every day. But you will hope that they don't get addicted to it because you don't get addicted to weed. Yes, you will if you're smoking tobacco wrapped around your weed.
Your weed. Wow, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you would hope to be wrong in that area, but you're not. You also may have things like mouth cancer, throat cancer, chest cancer, head cancer, all associated with local use of weed. You want to be wrong. At least I would like to be wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
I would like to be wrong that most black men are not going to die in their 60s and 70s and live a deplorable lifestyle, even if they had money, even if they had an education, even if
Mm,
they had the best things that life has. But we know that's not the case.
mm,
Being wrong is almost something that we all, at least sometimes, I'd rather be, because
yeah.
it may be an out from the depression that we know we're going to be facing at some point. And that's a sad reality.
Yeah, yeah, and I know you and I talked about like in reference of hip hop, because I'm definitely a hip hop historian in my own small degree, but also with the local artists, real recent artists, not necessarily local, like Rick Ross. We talk about Rick Ross, Trick Daddy, that whole dynamic.
Mhm.
Rick Ross was having seizures, because he was an obese brother, he was an obese guy, so he was having seizures, and he started getting on his like eat more fruit in the morning, even though now he does have the wing stop. So so the wings, he all right, I'm back.
Okay, what happened?
Yeah, so my computer is acting funny.
Reset?
Yeah, reset. So my apologies, family. Had to get back, but I am back. All right. So I'm back in effect. So I know I was in mid conversation about the Rick Ross and Trick Daddy
Mm.
dynamic, but Rick Ross, the brother had to take care of his health, is what I was getting to.
Uh-huh.
The fact that he started to realize that something was affecting. I mean, he's an artist, he's touring a lot, he's on the road, so that puts a strain on your body in itself. And of course, the food, like you said, the food he's probably eating, that as well. And again, as black men, going back to our main discussion, we as black men and as men in general, like how can we, like you said, how can we begin to navigate that, or what's some like smaller things that we can do to begin to change that dynamic? Because our life expectancy is apparently not that long, not longer than our white counterparts.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
first of all, I think you need to acknowledge that you got a problem. Most of these people have not acknowledged that they have a problem. Once you have acknowledged that there's something wrong in your life that you need to have changed, then you can work through that process of stages of change. But the idea is that you have to acknowledge first, and usually we acknowledge it when something happens, when you're sickly, or you fell out, or you had a seizure on stage, or something like that. That's the wrong time to acknowledge it. You want to acknowledge this situation well in advance. That means going to the doctor once a year for your annual. You go there for your annual checkup. You're looking at blood work, and if something is wrong, the doctor may put you on medication temporarily until you can fix it. You get what I'm saying? So let's say, for example, he put you on diabetic medication because you may be overweight, like 200-300 pounds overweight, right? So you go on medication, you go to the gym, you start exercising, you lose whatever you need to lose. Then you realize you can take you off the medication because the diabetes went away. The type 2 diabetes that you had is no longer in existence anymore. So that works for you. That's what you have. So that's what the annual physical is all about. Same thing goes with lifestyle. Do you need to stop drinking? Do you need to not stop smoking? Do you need to have quality people in your life? But you got to remember, most of these people are not good people. They're technically not good people, and they never loved themselves or liked themselves. They went into the game because it was an opportunity to make money, and they had a skill set that they can use to exploit the environment for more money. Then they flip the money into get things like wing stops and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that.
mm-hmm.
But technically, they was never, what he said, people who was concerned about themselves
Right.
other than money and opportunity. Hustlers, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, as they say, they celebrate the hustlers. And but again, this whole, because I think one thing too, and it makes me think of this too, Professor Kelly, this whole team no sleep, right? I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Never heard that before. No.
But yes, a term that was going around. I don't know if it's still going around as much as it was, but it was like a team no sleep. Like we don't sleep. Like it's all about work, work, work. Like team no sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And that can have damaging effects on your body over time. And I had to.
I don't think it's literally teams don't sleep because you're going to sleep
Right.
at some point.
True.
What they're talking about is they're looking at every opportunity that's available to them as a group, and they're part of trying to exploit the system to as much as they can possibly exploit it for. But if you're chasing money, then what is it? Then what is life is all about? Because life is not about money. There's a lot of people living in this world who live in happy lives and who are broke. So it's not about money. We know that. It has to be something a little bit more than that. And we also live in a benevolent, we just so happen to live in a benevolent country where you don't necessarily need to pay for your housing or your food because there's programs designed to take care of those things just for you, especially if you're older and you're unable or so you're disabled or something like that, So we live in those. So is it really about the team no sleep? What are you chasing? Because now I give you $100 billion. Are you happy? You know what I'm saying? Mike
Mm-hmm.
Tyson does a really good job at letting people know that. He emote that very, very well. He's like, listen, you ever had money before?
Right.
And then you realize that it's not about it. We all have money before, but it's not necessarily what really makes that person. And he's right. It is that family. That
And
family is key. And I was talking to my wife, but she said, we have 3 kids. She said, I wish we would have had 5. I wish we would have had 5. And I asked her, why? I wanted 5 kids when we started out. She's like, no, we have to use, no, she didn't want 5 kids. She wanted, leave it up to her, she wanted 1 child. But as you get old, you realize that it's all about those kids. It's all about your legacy. Your legacy is not necessarily, those kids are not going to do exactly what you want them to do, but they'll be in a company of someone who loves and respects them for the rest of their life, who loves them regardless. A girlfriend or wife will never love you the way your parents will love you. You know what I'm saying? Your parents they're all in. They love you, especially if they raised you and they was there for you. They didn't pull a wool over your eye or nothing like that. But they was there. They love you, and you're not going to get that anywhere else. So when you design a family that has kids and a loving wife or husband who you raised up from nothing, and you grew that up. That's what this life is all. It had nothing to do with money.
mm,
You can't pay me to love you. You can't pay me to want to kiss and hug you.
yeah.
You can't pay me to be respectful and loving and decent towards you. That stuff comes from the heart.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Priceless. Can't. There's no
right.
money amount on that. There's
And we
just
know
no.
that.
Yeah.
That legacy is real, and that's what we need to impress upon those young men who's struggling with those issues of team no sleep. Try to get the money,
Right. Get
build.
the bag. Right.
Yeah, but
Money.
you need,
Money over bees. I'm not gonna say the word. The whole thing.
yeah,
Money
but
over.
all right, so fine. If it's money over, you got to realize that try to get. So if once you get the money, what you gonna do? Sit there by yourself?
Right.
You're gonna need a young lady. Nothing make a man happier than having a female around him. You know that.
Mm,
We are
mm-hmm.
much better. We are better us when we have women around us.
Mm.
They're a measure of who we are as people.
And but see, Professor Kelly, that's going against the grain with a lot of a number of, not a lot, a number of other men, white and black, are saying right now. This whole like this, what is it? Uh, MGTOW. Yeah, MGTOW. Men going their own way. Yeah, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ain't nothing wrong with homosexuality, but the problem with the heterosexual community is that there's no pushback. We're like
Mm-hmm.
being hit in the face with this homosexuality thing. We got to accept it. The issue is that your child must learn about the pride flag, but they know nothing about the red, black, and green.
Right.
Or they know nothing about the red, the gold, and what is it? The one they use for Rastafarian colors. They don't know anything
Mm-hmm.
about the Rastafarian flag and
Yeah,
stuff.
red, gold, green. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know anything about the Black Revolutionary flag, but they need
Mm-hmm.
to know about the pride flag. Are you serious?
Right.
Nothing wrong with the flag. It's a beautiful
Right.
flag, right?
Yeah. Hey, that's if you want to
It's a
roll.
beautiful flag, but the key is that you don't teach me this, but you teach me that in school. But you don't ever teach
Mm-hmm.
me this in school. I need you to
Right.
teach me both. Teach me all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to bring homosexuality into the school system, nothing wrong with bringing it into the school system, but the parents must be notified that their child is going to be learning this. And we're not.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally being thrust down the throat of these parents. Your child will go home and learn about Tim got 2 daddies, 2 mommies, and they don't like men or they don't like women. You know?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with guys living that way. If they want to live that way and they want to love another dude, fine. I support you 100%. But you should not give that to heterosexual families and force it upon their throat, having people kissing each other, Superman kissing another dude. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
That
that
is
is the
that is
cap.
you have freedom of speech, but
Yeah.
certain things could definitely cross the boundaries. And I
Mm-hmm.
think we have the people in our media industry in our movie industry, we heard complaints about them years ago. We heard the chatter of about the homosexual lifestyle and the agenda that they have. We knew that exists, but most of us who's not in the music or the art industry, we never, it doesn't concern us because we're not artists. But the artists who are in those industries, they came out and said, "Yo, listen, it's pervasive among these people. There's a whole cult. You have to do certain things to prove you're a part of this." You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and we as a people, human beings, we don't care about that. But now they have leaked out from the quietness of their own cults to front page newspaper on Instagram, and you got people happy with that. We have families who are homosexual. I love these people. They're great people like anybody else. But we don't need the lifestyle. We don't need the lifestyle because the lifestyle, if we got a young boy who's like most of us when we was 12, 13 years old, you learning how to like women. You learning the energies of what I can't. Every time I see that girl when she walk by, my stomach start flipping out.
Yeah.
We're all learning that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do we need to have that, thrown off because the other dude is thinking about a dude as opposed to thinking about the girl? You get what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, it's an awkward circumstance.
Yeah.
They need their space just like we need our space. But you have to provide special places for that. And it must be a choice. It can't be something like protocol. It got to be a choice. If you feel this way or you having these feelings, you go there. If you're doing that, and that must be done in the quietness of who you are as a person. It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be like, hey, we're going to have this today because it throws off the average person, especially some of us who have like unmet needs in our life.
Right.
For
Well, that's what.
they may wind up experimenting.
Right. Right. And that's what I want to get into as well. That whole dynamic of we're speaking in terms of generalization, of course, but also when we talk about Black males and Black communities, we've been talking about for the past two videos and talks, is that when do we get to the point where our resources meet our needs?
Yeah.
Like where do we get to that?
I think we already have all the resources we need. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
we didn't make it available to the person that we need those resources. For example,
Mm.
we had schools in our
So the
community.
distribution then, you're saying.
Yeah, we just like you have situations where colleges and universities been around for 200-300 years.
Mm-hmm.
You still got first generation college graduates in your family.
Yes. Yes.
That's ignorant. You got people who coming in who've been living in America all their life and never even got a high school diploma.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you never got a high school. You never even decided to go to college. You never decided. There's services available. It's just that they have not gone out and look for those services, and they need to. They need to have basically go out and say, "Listen, I need these services. Providing with the services I need," and that's it. But we don't do that.
Yeah, we definitely don't do enough of that because I'm even finding sources in New York being a transplant that I'm like, you didn't know about this? Like, no, I didn't know about that. But they weren't educated or they weren't made aware of that they even exist and where to even look to receive it. And I'm like, I've been trained. I'll be very honest with you. I've been trained to look for these resources.
Yeah. And I think what we also need to do is you need to, I hate to say it, but we need to remove social media from our lives. I think we need to remove irresponsible.
Even though we're on social media, right?
Yeah,
right.
but I think we need to remove irresponsible social media from our lives.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that.
I have a social media page, and I find myself, posting things that may or may not be desirable. Excuse me. But on the flip side of that is that they have a lot of things on there that has no value, like a TikTok video. You look at a TikTok video, and the dude is dancing. Doing something crazy, getting into an argument. I mean, it could be a rogue situation, but that's what it's about. I mean, should we do that? I mean, should we be doing that? Social media I think it needs to be objectified a little bit differently. I think whoever's having a problem with it, like I know I'm having a problem with it, my children are having a problem with it.
Okay.
I would rather them, dot their I's, cross their T's a little bit better because they're not being done properly. It's not being done at all, And it is what it is. What can we do? The resources are there for us to do it, but we choose not to.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. So wow, it's been man, this is a great conversation.
Yes.
This is a beautiful conversation. What because I know time, I know your
Yeah,
time
I'm
is
gonna have to
limited.
be out of here in another few minutes. I
Yeah,
gotta get back.
so yeah, this is gonna be my last question. So just like we always do, Professor Kelly, and I always appreciate you. What's a
Yeah.
call to action for young men and well, young men, uh men of just over 30 and even those who are over 40? Like what's some things I guess that we could do at various stages for our health? Again, not just for diet, not just for eating, but just environment, you know?
I think the first one you have to acknowledge that you got a problem.
Okay.
First of all, you have to acknowledge that you have a problem, and then the second step is you need to seek out the proper services for that. You know, once you have acknowledged that I'm dealing with, I can't read, I can't write. I don't have a good relationship with my partners. I don't have this, I don't have that. You have to acknowledge that. Once you acknowledge it, or you would also say, I acknowledge that I want better in my life, and I'm willing to go through the steps to get it because I'm tired of doing this. The acknowledgement is the first step, and then
Mhm.
it goes on from there. And then you got to be consistent with it. Once with every step you make, you got
Consistency,
to be
yeah.
consistent. And if you don't, maintain consistency, you will fall off.
Yeah.
You will fall off. But there's people out there that's
Yeah.
available to every one of us. If we got a problem, we could just look left or look right. That person is right there.
Mm.
It's just that we choose not to because we don't want to do the work. That's all.
Mm.
That's
What about this? Let me interject before you leave out, before we end our discussion. What about those who feel like I don't have enough resources, money? Money plays like doctor. I don't have enough money to go to doctor. I don't have enough money for this, or I don't have time,
mm-hmm.
to go here or to do that. Like, what do you say to those that they know they may have an issue, but it's like I don't have this, so I can't do this.
I don't think it's the money situation. I think it's the fact that they're making excuses for the fact that they don't want to do it.
Mm.
For example, let's say there's a benevolent organization that's willing to put up funds for people who have cleft lips,
Mm-hmm.
who need all kind of surgery for dismemberment or prosthesis. There's services available to a person, and this
Yeah.
is external and internal, which means you can get the services internal or outside of the country. But the key is this: is that you just have to ask. And if you sitting here letting money become an issue, it never was about the money because we see now every day. We elect politicians who put up the most money, and look what we get in return.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
buy the best cars and look at the gas mileage on the best and the beautifulest cars out there. They got terrible gas mileage. The life
Definitely.
expectancy of those cars don't last that long.
Right. They
And if you
don't
ever
like
drive it,
The
you
Lambos.
ever drive it like you drive a cheap car, you'll see that it don't last that long, and it's not
They don't.
even it don't even make sense.
They don't.
10
Yeah.
miles to the gallon. Who drives a car like that?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's never all about
Speaking
that.
speaking on that, speaking on the cars, really brief. Lupe Fiasco, the hip hop artist out of Chicago, talked about that because when he got wealth from his music, he was talking about buying Ferraris, and it's a video on YouTube. He talks about how Ferraris are crappy cars. He's like, it took me to buy the car, become part of the car club, the global car club, to find out that the only reason he made Ferraris was for him to fund his racing team, and that the upsell for some of those is garbage. You won't get your money back, and the repair on those cars is ridiculous. They get monies in the repairs. So I was like, wow, So he's like, it's a game being ran. Like,
It was never about the money. The money is usually the weak man's way to get into your life. The weaker, the
mm-hmm,
least influenced individual to get in good control of your life, they
mm-hmm,
will wave a dollar bill in front of you. Now, if you have to trade money for your livelihood, you got a problem, dude. There's nothing
wow,
wrong with working for that dollar, but if that
mm-hmm,
dollar is not humanly expressed in exchange, then you got a problem. It's like having a bad supervisor who could be racist, sexist, all kind of things, right?
mm-hmm,
Homophobic. And imagine them being your supervisor and how in the world of hell they're gonna put you through because you work for them.
right,
You know? That's what money does. So it's the lowest common denominator to bring people into your life to do favors for you. The highest common denominator is based on goodwill and love and
right,
commitment for
altruism,
people.
yeah,
Yeah, altruism to the highest degree,
yeah,
But we don't. We operate on the dollar, which gives us the lowest common denominator Thus, all our politicians are trash. We have never seen a decent politician. Most of your lawyers are liars and cheats. Same thing with your doctors, who are basically doing things to cover them from lawsuits more so to help than you. You know, people go to work and they can try and they conspire how they can do the least amount of work in the time they got to be locked up in jail for 6 to 8 hours a day. Because going to work is like going to jail to some people. You know,
Very true.
especially if you have no way out. You know,
Right. Very true.
it is all in exchange for dollars. But you can change that if you recognize it. Most
Mm-hmm.
people refuse to recognize it. And it's not all about getting your own business, because guess what? When you become your own business owner, you do the exact same thing to the people behind you. You treat them like hell. You give them crumbs to live on, and you also treat them in a way where they should be treated better, but you don't treat them better.
Yeah.
You know, and it
Mm.
is what it is. It's capitalism for you. We love the capitalist system, but capitalism have a serious drawback. I have the unique ability to listen to Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois written some spoken. He had a speech or something, 1961 or 62, somewhere thereabouts.
Okay.
So I was listening to him, and he was talking about capitalism and communism, how they was hurting him, or hurt his chances of trying to get back to the United States, and how they was, it was a big problem back in the 1950s was capitalism and communism, the spread of
Mm-hmm.
communism.
Yes.
And he spoke openly about it and talked openly about the system. And it's not to say that capitalism and communism, both of them are terrible systems, to be honest with you.
Yeah. If you look into the philosophy of both, it is not
yes.
it's not the most ideal.
Yeah.
Especially when you're coming from the Euro dynamics of capitalism, and especially communism too.
Yeah, they're both failed systems.
Yeah.
But the reality is that it was a competition between one versus the other. Obviously, capitalism won, but we see the evils of capitalism. We see it all the time. You can work at Best Buy right now and sell over $1 million in goods and services in 1 month. Your check will not reflect that.
Exactly. Your check will stay the exact same.
Yeah, you may get a couple of commission dollars.
Right.
Commission ain't gonna look like that $1 million you sold.
Right. That you made.
Same thing with a car company. Same thing with real estate and all these other things. You are not going to get the lion's share. That's what capitalism is all about. The incentives are not what you may think they are. You have a friend who sells real estate. Great. I said, how often do you get the big bang and the big buck? I may get it like maybe 3 or 5 times a year. So in essence, he may get a windfall of 30,000. And then he made another 4 or 5 months, get another windfall of 30,000. Then he wait again, he may get 15,000. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not a way. I said, what holds you over between that? Or hope and a dream? You learn how to space it out. That's what he's doing. You got to pay your taxes and you space it out.
Yeah.
Or you have to keep another job going while you do that.
Yeah.
That's capitalism for you. And then how you be an assistant, like, you have people like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, but they go to work every day. How you could be a billionaire, but you at the office every single day? What prevents you from not going to work? Take a day off here, take a week off, take a vacation, but you back in the office and you're a billionaire. What are you really a billionaire? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or is the company worth $1 billion? Your stock is worth $1 billion. But you can't. It is a big question.
Yeah, quick. Yeah, essential questions. Actually, really basic questions, really.
And it seems that the people who are the most wealthy is the one who spend the most time working.
Yeah,
broke people spend the least time working. You know what I'm saying?
That's a comedic bar right there. That's a comedic bar right there, Professor Kelly. Like what?
Yeah, but it is what it is.
Think about.
Listen, I got to go my way to. I get to Manhattan right now, buddy. Okay.
Indeed. So, Professor Kelly, thank you, my brother. Thank you for the time. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your knowledge. And again, family, this is us just talking, sharing our opinions, sharing our perspective on Black men's health and health in general, just with the Black family, Black community. We appreciate your time. Please like, subscribe. Also, if you have any comments or just questions, please put them down below. And Professor Kelly, thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate you.
God bless. Have a good one.
Indeed. Okay, family. Have a great day, beautiful day, blessed day, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Okay.
Peace.
Bye-bye.